Inaugurators, welcome to Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. It is Thursday, January the 15th, and also happy Founders Day to the beautiful ladies of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. It's Founders Day today, so happy Founders Day to my sisters, my aunts, and everybody, and also to one of our legal beagles, Shatan Turner, when we bring her to the main stage. All right, tonight is the night. It's going to be good. Tonight's episode is titled Stars, Warrants, and What the Public Believes. All right, before we get started on the topics, let's see who's joining us tonight in the chat. Let's see. First up, JP Mills, 5643. Thank you so much, JP. Good. Always good to see your name. Sandra McGee, you too. Always good to see your name when we are signing on. Brenda K, thank you so much for joining us tonight. That's lovely seeing you. Tanya McNeil, welcome, Tanya McNeil. Brian and Simone Adams. All right, Brian and Simone. They say hello, Al, and the legal team. Brian and Simone are here. Thank goodness. SL Warrior, thank you so much for joining us. Essa Stone, thank you. Edita, good to see you. Nisha Phillips. All right, family, come on in. Colette Davis, our real estate expert. Come on in. Like Colette Davis says, be sure to hit that like button. And also don't forget to hit that subscribe button and share. Riri Trey 1922. If you're new, welcome back. Finally caught the show live. Welcome, Riri. We're glad to have you. NY Marie 10029. Welcome, New York. New York is in the house. Love Kendra. Welcome, beautiful. If you're new to the show, glad to have you. Rizlan 11, always good to see your name. Donna 5387, what's going on? Latitha Robinson Smith, always good to see your name from St. Louis. Come on in. VV Park 11, come on in. Yay, Divine 9. All right. Let's see. M. Mikoria. I know I probably screwed that up, but hey, y'all, what's going on? All right, and so many more. We'll get to you later on in the chat. Groom You Media 1ATL, welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. Tonight is going to be a good show. You know, right here in Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, this is where the people's voices are the verdict, and you are the people. And celebrity headlines become courtroom currency. Tonight, we got first up, a Hollywood legend taken into custody over an Uber driver dispute. And guess what? The case isn't 24 anymore. If you know the reference, you know. Second up, I can't believe it. The legacy of Michael Jackson pulled back into court with a $200 million abuse lawsuit against his estate. Man, can the man just be gone? Decades later, this is crazy. Third up, we have a world champion boxer now wanted on a domestic violence warrant, a fighter out of the ring, and now he's into illegal crosshairs, and they're trying to find him. And last but not least, we have a reality TV pair hashing out custody, child support, and parenting time in the public eye. Please remember, in this courtroom, real laws meet public perception, and you, the viewers, are the jury. All right, court is officially in session. And joining us tonight, we have three legal beagles. We have Jason Weiss, Shatan Turner, and Sean Carter. Welcome, counselors. How's everybody feeling tonight?
Feeling good, Your Honor. Even though it's a little chilly here in Florida, still feeling great, ready to go.
Speaking of chilly, it's 19 degrees in D.C., or feels like it. How about you, Miss Turner?
Feeling good, feeling groovy, and I'm excited that it's my Founders Day. I promised Attorney Carter that I would not ski-wee, and yet, ski-wee!
That's right. Now, Shatan, you pledged at my undergrad. You and I went to undergrad together at UVA. What chapter are you shouting out tonight?
Theta Kappa, all day, every day.
All right. Attorney Carter, welcome. You're on mute, sir.
He's ski-weeing.
You're ski-weeing me now. I don't even know what to do now. Let's just move on. Get to the stories.
Come on, don't be a bah humbug. These ladies are 40 women. All right, everybody. First up, we have Kiefer Sutherland. Yep, that's him, the Emmy winner actor, best known for the portrayal of Jack Bauer, a man who could disarm a bomb on live TV. You remember that? Well, recently he was arrested in Hollywood after officers discovered an outstanding warrant tied to an alleged rideshare altercation. Now, listen to this. According to police, Sutherland allegedly assaulted an Uber driver and made criminal threats, a charge that escalated when he failed to appear for court earlier. Gosh, we told you guys last time about not appearing. He is taken into custody now, and then he was released on a $50,000 bond with a February 2nd court date. So right now, there's no felony conviction yet, but this raised fundamental legal questions. Now, this is what it brings up: failure to appear, alleged assault and disorderly conduct, and how outstanding warrants can trigger real arrest. I want to throw this one to you, Jason, first. What are the key legal consequences of failing to appear in court after? Now, this is a question here that's different. This was just a misdemeanor citation. So does it matter what the citation is? A failure to appear is a failure to appear? Because I could imagine he thought it was a misdemeanor, so it's not that big of a deal.
But you know what? The failure to show up for that misdemeanor now tacked on a second misdemeanor, because according to California Penal Code, it is a second and incidental independent misdemeanor. So instead of him showing up for one, now he's showing up for at least two. Courts don't mess around, right? They tell you to be there, you be there. I tell people all the time, look, I will pick up your phone unless it's someone in a black robe, my daughter, my wife, or my mother.
Got it. Now, so it becomes more serious now, right?
It's a separate count. He now has two misdemeanors against him. The misdemeanors from the mishap, which is totally in and of itself and all that. But the court's going to start with, okay, why didn't you show up the first time? You got notice, you got whatever. Tell me why. And, you know, he's going to face that. That's probably some sort of fine. And, you know, I'm sure the rest of it will work itself out as well.
All right, Attorney Carter, let me ask you this. On the alleged assault, and you can give us some background if you know a little bit more information, because from what I understand, this happened in an Uber. On the alleged assault and criminal threats, what was the criminal threat, and what must the prosecutor prove under the law to sustain those claims? Because they're saying that the threat obviously was so bad that the driver was hurt or harmed some way.
And so, according to what we know so far, is that Kiefer wants to get out of the Uber for whatever reason. And he's talking to someone, and Nisha Phillips talks about it here, that, you know, the guy doesn't speak great English. And there may be some miscommunication. He doesn't understand what Kiefer wants to say, but Kiefer gets so upset, he does understand when Kiefer says, if you don't stop this car, I'm going to kill you.
Oh.
And so, yes, I'm going to unalive you. So what the driver does, the driver picks up 911. And the reason we know he doesn't speak great English is because they had to get an interpreter on 911 to figure out what the heck he's shouting about. So they're coming in. So the bottom line is this: that this isn't a situation where it happened the next day. The police are like trying to catch him so they can come in and talk to Kiefer. And Kiefer normally in that case would not go to jail. Mm-hmm. It's a he said, she said, and he did say, I might kill you. But, you know, that's something we could talk about later. The assault, what we're hearing is that he put his hands on it. And that's enough for assault, right? Assault, by the way, you didn't have to touch anybody. If you were to be standing over the guy saying, I'm going to kill you, that'd be assault too. The threat, and whether this is a criminal terrorist threat, really doesn't just determine the words, I'll kill you, but rather his intent and whether you think he's serious, right? Because we say that kind of stuff all the time. Think about when I was a comedian, I tried to kill people in the club, but nobody, right? I was trying to kill them, right? But nobody thought I was going to go to jail for that, right? So it really has to be a serious threat. But the bottom line is, Kiefer, and just to make sure we supplement what Jason said, he's got 3 misdemeanor charges. Because the first charge he had was something that he didn't show up to court for. Then he now has the Uber driver and the failure to show up. Kiefer is basically trying to relive all 8 seasons of 24 in one night.
Attorney Turner, let me ask you this. So they said, I reported that he had a $50,000 bond. This is a 2-part question. First, can you explain when somebody has a bond, do they have to pay the entire $50,000 to get out of jail, or how does that work?
Usually the bail bondsman can work out a percentage, so they have to pay like 10% or something. But it depends. They can also be penalized if they really made the judge angry, and he may have done that here.
Okay, so let me ask you this, Attorney Turner. If the alleged victim didn't require any medical treatment, because we did hear that there was no medical treatment necessary, does that lessen the potential penalties or simply shift the focus on the threat and the conduct?
Well, there are degrees of crimes, right? Like people hear about, murder in the first degree, aggravated assault, things like that. That all depends on the resulting injury, and for the murder piece, the level of intent and premeditation. But in this case, the fact that the person wasn't harmed does lessen the potential penalty, but it doesn't eradicate the criminal charge, because as Attorney Carter indicated, is if he thought that he was going to harm him because he put up his dukes and said, I'm going to punch you in the face, or I'm going to kill you, and he did like this, and that's assault. You don't have to touch them. That's why you often hear it talked about assault and battery. The battery piece is
the battery is the touching part. I'm learning a lot tonight. Okay, so let's be clear then. I think the biggest thing for him, which has set all this off, is he didn't appear in court. He skipped court.
Yeah, regardless of whether you're innocent or not, if you don't show up, then you make things worse for you. And so there are things like this. Just goes back to what they say, remember what you learned in kindergarten, don't skip school, right? They had commercials about that on TV. Don't skip court ever.
That's crazy. Even if it's a misdemeanor,
Russell Simmons, and you're in a country that doesn't have extradition with
Bora Bora, baby, Bora Bora.
Even if it's a misdemeanor, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Wow. All right, let's go. Okay, go ahead.
No, I'm saying it's the compulsion. It's the notion that the court can compel you to show up because they said so. They have the ultimate trump card, if you will, is the court. Come. And if you don't come, there are penalties.
This is good to know. That's why you see all these guys that don't show up for their child support. Aaron.
Yeah.
They're all going
to warrants out for them. Yep.
Yeah, there's warrants out for them. They go to jail. So when they go to the airport, they get pulled aside. Okay, lawyers, it's that time of the show where I need for you to tell me what is the strength rating on this case against him. Give us the strength rating on the case, 1 to 10, and how you see this playing out. Do you see a dismissal, a plea, or a trial? Attorney Carter, what say you?
Believe it or not, on the Uber part, I actually see a dismissal. I could easily see him arguing, he had me hostage. I'm just trying to get out of this thing, right? And knowing Kiefer, he was drunk, right? I was going to puke all up in the Uber. I'm trying to do this, save his interior, and he won't let me out. And so likely he's going to not have a problem there. He's going to have a problem for why he didn't show up to court, but he should be good.
Okay, Attorney Turner.
I agree with Attorney Carter. I mean, there's so many things that can be argued, but like I said, it depends on how pissed off the judge is relating to the fact that he didn't show up, because some judges will stick it to you just for that. So he better have a really good reason about why he was missing.
All right, Attorney Weiss, is it this a dismissal, a plea, or trial? What do you think?
I think the underlying case is going to go away pretty quickly with either a plea or a dismissal. And I think he's going to get hit with a nice hefty donation to the charity of his choosing or the court system because of the missed, the ignoring of the order.
Okay. Brenda K says, obviously he thought it wasn't serious enough or just didn't care. He's a star. Oh, yeah. So you're thinking maybe he thought he was bigger than that. Miss Real, hello. Welcome, Miss Real. Welcome to Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. Nisha Phillips says, I'm screaming. Sean Carter said my name. I love Attorney Carter so much. All right. You know, where is Christine R? Where is Christine R? I haven't seen Christine R in a while. Oh. Did you run her off, Jason? I hope not.
I hope not. I hope not.
All right, everybody. There you go. The lawyers have shared their piece. Now let's keep it going. When a Hollywood star gets booked for actions off the script, its firm reminder is celebrity doesn't erase consequences, and they're definitely not above the law. But when the celebrity can't even argue their own estate's legacy, that's a whole nother conversation. And that is exactly what our next case is about. So we're going to pivot to our next story, which is decades after his death. Yep. our one of our favorite performers ever, Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson's estate is back in court facing a $200 million civil lawsuit from individuals alleging childhood sexual abuse. Now, these claims tie back to long-standing controversies around the late singer's conduct, even though Jackson was acquitted in his lifetime criminal trial, and the estate presently still denies the new claims. Now, these are not new criminal claims, but in fact, they are civil claims. Bailiff, take it away.
I was retained by the Casio family. The first thing I did was have each of the 5 siblings give me sworn testimony on video. I ended up with 10 hours of testimony detailing the horrific abuse they suffered at the hands of Michael Jackson.
Wow. All right, Attorney Carter, I'm going to throw to you. Bring us up to speed of what's going on in this case. First of all, am I the only one frustrated that he's not here? He's not here. He has passed. So how is this even possible that the kids have to worry about their inheritance now because of this new law that's allowing you to bring up something that he was acquitted of, but on the civil side, allowing them to sue? Tell us what's going on here and how is it possible legally?
And the thing you're talking about here is that basically a lot of states in the wake of Me Too and understood that it's very difficult sometimes for witnesses or for victims to come forward immediately. And so they start extending the statute of limitations, how long you get to bring the case. And California has a revival law that says, hey, pretty much anytime forever, you can bring these cases up. And so we have against Michael Jackson, not just that family. That family is suing for $200 million. He has 2 other individuals who are also suing for $200 million. They're talking about $600 million here total. And the two different young men, we'll see them up in a minute on the screen here. They are suing, and they're not suing Michael Jackson personally. They're suing his management companies, MJ Enterprises. And what they're saying is, y'all knew that Michael was up to some nonsense, and you let him still be up to some nonsense, and therefore we want money from you, which turns out to be what's left of Michael Jackson's estate is in these businesses, right? And so we want that money. It's going to be, I think, challenging for them to prove that. And they're having trouble already now because they've got to prove not only that Michael did something, which we no longer can find out because he's gone, but that these people knew about the thing that Michael may or may not have done, and they were just, not handling it. And so they've got an uphill climb, and they should, because they're asking for these people are asking for $600 million.
That's insane to me. Let's go back to the picture, Bailiff. All right, so I want everybody to be clear, and I want Sean walk us through this. The top picture is when they were younger. So he's known this family so long. The bottom picture, he grew up with this family, looks like.
Yep. Well, absolutely. Yep.
The dad has been there the whole time with the mama. I don't know. I'm just trying to understand this. Shaitan, okay, go ahead.
No, and I was going to say the worst part of this is the fact that, look, if you have a judgment and you're trying to collect against the estate, like we've heard and we've covered part of this stories in the past, and we hear about it all the time, when someone dies, the judgment doesn't just disappear with them, right? But these are now new charges that this man did this. He doesn't have the right. He has no due process here to say it was not me, or I did not do this, or I did it and here is why. He doesn't have that. So everything that the family is saying, nobody can rebut that. And I'm not saying this isn't, if it's true that it's not terrible and all of that, but I mean, you got to give him the opportunity to speak for himself.
You got to give him a chance to defend himself. All right, let's go to the chat real quick because they are on fire. Rizlan 11 says, this is crazy. Colette Davis says, why don't they let Michael Jackson rest in peace? Rizlan 11 says, all lies. VV Park 11 says, this is some BS. Nisha Phillips says, no. Al, I'm like, what the hell is these people talking about? Leave people alone. It's ridiculous. Chandra McGee says, I'm sick of all these claims. Me too. Like, gee whiz. TB danceable. That man is dead. This is a money grab. It does feel like to me, in the court of public opinion that this feels like a money grab. It seems like they figured out a loophole to go back after somebody who's already gone and who's already been vindicated. VB Park 11 says they need to let Michael Jackson and his estate rest in peace. Miss Monica says, gotta catch the replay. Nisha Phillips, thank you so much for the super chat. We really appreciate you. Glad you're enjoying the show. TL Broadhurst says, this is well RD, and he's not here to speak up for himself. Yeah, I agree. JP Mills says, this is crazy. They need to leave the Jackson family alone. And the comments go on and on. Really quickly, Shaitan, can you tell us, how does the estate liability work here? And can the estate fight this, or would they be held responsible for the acts of the deceased?
Well, the estate can always fight, as can defendants. This is not a strict liability situation. So there's some things where just the allegation alone, if proven, then, it's strict liability. It means you have to pay. This is something where the parties can defend, and they should, and they intend to, based on what I've read. The other interesting thing is, I actually think if I was teaching at the law school, I think this is a creative legal strategy, putting aside the morality for a second, because they're suing the corporations, right? The corporations and the people who ran those, they're not dead. And so the issue is, what did they know? When did they know it? So in some respects, what the lawyer's trying to do is say, look, all of this stuff against Michael Jackson, yeah, we didn't win the cases against him when he was alive, but there's enough smoke there that really what we want to show is that his handlers, or the companies that were managing him, they were aware of this impropriety, and we're going to presume that the impropriety actually occurred. It's a stretch, mind you. It's a stretch. But I think if you're going to go after somebody who's been dead for 16 years now, you know, you need to come up with something creative. Otherwise, you just look like a sleaze bag.
Right. But, to me, this all just feels gross. Right. So I'm just going to say, in the court of public opinion, I know that some people may view this as accountability, but for me, this just reeks of greed. This reeks of attention. This reeks of somebody needs money. I don't understand the purpose of resurrecting these old wounds for money, especially if he's not here. And with that, let's get to the panel real quick. Guys, what do you guys think? Do you expect this case to survive motions to dismiss, or will it settle? Is there a settlement possibly here, or does it risk collapsing under legal technicalities? What you say, Jason? You're on mute.
I think this is going to settle. And I think we're not going to hear the terms of it, but I have a feeling the estate is the companies are going to wind up paying something, and so will the estate.
Wow, really?
Yep. I'm not saying anywhere near 600 million, but something.
That's crazy to me. Attorney Carter?
I would normally agree with Attorney Weiss there, except for the fact that they're asking for too much money. We can put the pictures of these kids up. They're not that cute. All right, ain't nobody $600 million cute. I'm sorry. And that's just ridiculous. I mean, $200 million, enough money for all your descendants ever. What could he have done? And to me, it's like they've made it in a situation where it's hard to settle, because what number am I going to come to? And if it were a reasonable amount, all right, they would easily settle because they don't want to pay the attorney's fees. But I'm not going to pay 50 million or 100 million for something that might not have happened.
Well, didn't we talk about this? Paris. We talked about Paris is saying that she doesn't want to be responsible for these legal fees. That's her inheritance from her dad. Isn't that what we talked about in the chambers, Attorney Carter?
Absolutely. But she has to be understanding that she doesn't want to pay these legal fees, but if she doesn't and gets a default judgment, she can be paying out the 200 million. All right. So she's going to have to bite the bullet a little bit.
All right. Attorney Turner, what do you think?
Well, I was going to say, as much as, I like Paris, she's done some interesting things as an adult. Here's the facts. If true, she wouldn't have as much money as she has because her father would have had to pay these people. So, she needs to get off of that and to just get along with the program, find a good defense, focus on the merits of it. And to Attorney Weiss's point, the other motivation for settling this is to get it to quiet down. They are asking for $600 million in part because we're all talking about it. Because what is enraging them is that he still has a residency in Vegas with the hologram, still has a is still making money, and they think he's a pedophile, right? So they want to sully his good name so that he is not making posthumous money.
That's insane to me. Sandra McGee, thank you so much for the super chat. We really appreciate you. The super sticker we will take. All right, lawyers, you guys are turned up. Y'all getting the money, got the register ringing tonight. I'm really liking this. All right, before we move on, everybody, be sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you're already subscribed, be sure to hit, share the post with someone and invite them over to enjoy the Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. As always, don't forget to turn on your notifications and continue to jump down in the chat, because don't forget, you're the jury and you're going to decide who's guilty or not guilty at the end of the show. All right, from a lifetime of music and legacy to a champion who's now wanted by the police. When your fists leave the ring and land in legal limbo, that's where our next case will begin. Yep, you heard me correctly. Boxing star Gervonta "Tank" Davis is currently wanted by the Miami Garden Police after an arrest warrant was issued in connection with a domestic violence incident that allegedly occurred last October. Now listen to this. Police say he's accused of battery, so that means, like Shaitan said, he's actually put his hands on somebody, false imprisonment, and attempted kidnapping tied to a physical altercation with a woman. And law enforcement is actively trying to locate him, meaning he is possibly on the run. Bailiff, take it away.
Here to address a domestic violence incident involving professional boxer Gervonta Davis, also known as Tank. Out of respect for the victim's rights and privacy, the victim's identity will not be released in accordance with Marcy's law. On October 29, 2025, at approximately 2:15 p.m., the victim entered the Miami Gardens Police Department accompanied by her attorney to report an incident that occurred on October 27, 2025.
All right, Purple Rain 3347 said Gervonta had domestic violence allegations in Vegas. All right, let's go to you, Attorney Carter, really quickly. This is really interesting to me. What is the standard for issuing a domestic violence battery arrest warrant? Is it probable cause, or what evidence do you need? Because she walked in with her lawyer. What was the point of walking in with her lawyer?
Oh, as far as what's the standard? Basically, the standard for probable cause is, the legal version of when there's smoke, there's fire. All right, to get a judge to sign a warrant, the police don't need to have a movie in 4K. All right, they don't need to have, a sworn statement from him. They just need enough facts to make a reasonable police person believe the crime happened. A lot of times victims will bring their lawyers because it's a very daunting thing, right? It's going to be very emotional. You want someone there who can calmly explain the facts, because if a boxer punched me in the face, I probably wouldn't be so cool about it, right? And so certainly, in this case, the problem that he has is they got a full house of evidence. We have a victim statement. We got photos of her bruised arm, and there's supposedly a surveillance video of him dragging her out by the hair like he Fred Flintstone. And that's just not going to work very well. And so, he's more than probable cause. He's almost certainly cause.
All right, Jason. Rizlan 11 said he's cooked, his hands are registered, and Riri Trade 1922 said, is that a myth that boxers' hands are registered? And how are all these boxers out here just hitting civilians? Can you talk to us about, is the registered hand just something that we made up, or is it real life?
Yeah, I mean, look, the hands registered as a weapon, that's something, but his training, his knowledge, his being able to hit, his physical size, his muscles, all of that makes it so that he is somebody that can inflict more pain than the normal person. So they're going to look at that, and that is absolutely going to be a factor, especially with regard to the damage and assault. And remember, the assault is just the fear of getting hit, and the battery is the actual touching.
All right, so let's stay right there, because this is in your neck of the woods. This is what I want to know. Once a warrant is issued, right, and he doesn't turn himself in fact, he's presently still missing. They having a press conference, for God's sake. How does this impact his prosecutorial strategy and bail prospects?
You know, look, just because they come out and give a press conference and they've issued this, that doesn't mean he immediately knows, right? He could pick up the phone, he could call his lawyer, he could go to his lawyer. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. The lawyer could have already called the state attorney or the police department and said, hey, look, I am going to arrange it so that he is turning himself in tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. We're going to show up at the downtown, or we're going to show up at the precinct. We're going to walk in the back. We want to avoid. So things like that are okay. And we don't know what's going on with that. And they're going to keep that very close to the cuff, and they're not going to, tell everybody. But if he knew about this and he's running and he's getting on a plane and he's going to Vegas, then he's going to have some problems.
All right. Purple Rains 3348 said Robin Givens literally divorced Mike Tyson over similar things. Yeah, I guess you're right. She also said that Mike Tyson has domestic allegations as well. Surefire Brown says they need to lock him up and throw away the key. I guess, you just can't be putting your hands on no chick, not when you got deadly hands like and dragging her out of the club. That just doesn't seem right. Attorney Turner, if you were his lawyer, what would you argue?
Oh, you wanted to give me the tough one. I would argue that you can't believe everything that you see. This was a misunderstanding. It was affection between the two of them when you saw him dragging her by her hair. It was the equivalent of a love tap with other people. Like, I don't know, you're stressing me out, Your Honor. It's some nonsense. I can't come up with any plausible story that's going to result in that. But I mean, what his lawyer should try to do is to negotiate.
Yeah, I think I would try to bring the two of them into a room together and have him apologize. We've seen over and over and over again where these girlfriends, these wives recant the statements or don't show up to court. Yeah. He could pay her not to show up to court so that it would be thrown out. I don't know. Other than that, I think he's toast and he should be thrown underneath the jail. But that's just my personal opinion. This ain't looking good, Tank. You need to get it together. You don't need to be slapping women. That don't even make any sense to me. Like, I think, and plus, he needs to get his ass to the damn police station because
he will. He's getting with his attorneys. He's working that out. I wouldn't be shocked if tomorrow or even Monday, so he doesn't have to spend a weekend in jail.
Oh yeah, because Monday is a holiday.
You got it.
Yeah, and when you think about it, I mean, how deplorable is it? I mean, you've already, said that you find it disgusting, but you have a man who's a trained fighter.
Yep.
Right.
Who's hitting somebody who's far weaker than him, right? Like, unless you prove that she's like a shot put thrower from University of Alabama, chances are she is physically smaller, and he didn't need to exert that much force to get her to stop whatever she was doing that was objectionable, right? He's got a problem. So hopefully at the end of this, he's getting some counseling.
All right. It sounds like we know what we think right here. All right, let's keep it going. We only have a little bit more time left here in court today. All right. And finally, from alleged battering to another type of battle, family battle, fought in court filings. Our last story brings us back to reality TV custody and support. Yep. You thought we weren't going to talk about them anymore? Well, too bad. TV reality stars Kandi Barris and Todd Tucker continued their divorce proceedings with filings over custody, over child support, and structured parenting time. Now, Todd has asked the court for a hearing to formalize parenting schedules and financial obligations. Show him the money, he said. Both sides insist that they want to do right by their children, but the public eye complicates every move. All right, let's go to you, Shaitan, our resident mother of 2, 3. What factor were in divorce? I'm sorry, not because I know you guys are fathers, but what factors do judge weigh when deciding child custody and parenting time in high asset, high visibility divorces like yours?
Now you got to put my business on. As the algoriters know that I am in the midst of personally studying this issue. And so the first thing is, we talked about this often, that family court is all about the best interest of the children or of the child is what they say. And so if you're talking about support, you're talking about a formula that applies to the assets of the higher earner to see how much the children are entitled to. If you're talking about time, then the judge is analyzing what's in their best interest, what type of parenting structure makes sense for these children. Often there's a presumption that there is shared custody because they believe that the influence of both parents is beneficial. However, what that sharing looks like can vary. Some people do 4 days on, 3 days off, and then they start the other way. That's one way to do 50-50. Some people do full weeks and alternate weekends or do weekends, or some people do, all during the year with the kids, school year, and then the other person takes holidays and summers. There's lots of ways to slice this. In this case, the conflict is between, and I feel sorry for Kandi. Kandi is a high-earning, powerful woman, and Todd, even though he had a bright career at one point, seems like he wants to destine himself to be a scrub.
Hold on, counselor. You love throwing the man under the bus when it comes to these divorces with rich women. Cut it out now.
Well, I rephrase. You're right, Todd. I'm just joking because he's suing me. But he doesn't want to work as hard. And so his argument is that he should get more time with the children because she's traveling, trying to earn that money. And the kids would be better off in a stable environment. That's going to be a challenging thing for her to fight, because if she's not around, then why should the kids be at her house with a nanny or another family member? They should be with their father.
All right, let's go to the chat real quick because this seems to be very interesting. Leandra 7170 says, Lord, I'm sick of Kandi and Todd. Rizlan 11 says, dungeon damage. Just V said, Todd looks like a handsome lollipop kid. Purified Brown says, Kandi needs to go on and find herself a woman and live happily ever after. That's
get her a lesbaroo.
Look, SL Warrior says, not a lesbaroo. SL Warrior says she has already. Caramel 1977 said, I'll be glad when they get back together and drop this divorce so we can stop hearing about it. Me too. I don't know. Something about this just don't seem right. Just V said, I don't like Todd asking for primary custody. I think it's a strategy to get money, to not get strategy. Now, aren't both of these kids surrogate? Chad, help me out. Aren't kids? Kandi didn't have these kids physically, did she? Chad, help me out. These kids are surrogate kids, right? She had surrogates. Chad, let me know if I'm right.
Our bailiff saying no, so
no.
I think,
and even still,
she didn't have.
No. Our bailiff is saying she had a surrogate.
Yeah, these are surrogate kids. Okay, only one is surrogate. Okay, all right, cool. Only one is surrogate. All right, let's keep it moving. Let's go to you, Attorney Carter. What is required to justify a court hearing on custody and support? And how does a judge balance stability versus stability for regular people, stability as it relates to celebrities? Because, celebrities have the money to hire people to help them. How can a judge balance this when Todd is saying, hey, my wife is too busy chasing success to adequately watch after these kids when I have the time to do it?
Well, exactly, and that's his claim. Kandi's been on the gram saying he just doing this for content. He ain't watching these kids. All right, the nanny is doing all the work. He's just making videos and watching porn. And I look at Todd. That's probably true. At least half of that's true. All right, but here's the bottom line: is for him to go to court now and challenge this, he's got to say something's going wrong. Right? She's neglecting the kids. It's got to be something that changes the status quo. That's not likely to happen. What is likely to happen is for the judge to set forth a parenting plan, and they'll both agree on it, and it could be somewhat flexible. But here's the problem that Kandi's going to run into. If you set up one of these plans and with the court, all right, so basically everyone sign their name on the dotted line, then if a Broadway show comes up, they're going to be having to bring in, the third chick from Destiny's Child to sing, because you've got to, whoever that is, you have got to make those dates, okay? And so it puts her it locks her in more formality than she probably wants to be in, because she wants to have a lot more flexibility to go open up new restaurants, etc. And if he's successful in getting one of these plans in place, then you really kind of have to stick to it pretty closely, and it makes it harder for her.
All right, lawyers, we got to cut for a little bit of time here. Let's see. How strong is this defense? How strong is this defense on Todd's part? Attorney Weiss, what say you?
I could care less, to be totally honest with you. It doesn't make a difference. Look, if she's these two individuals need to be adults. If she's traveling, let the kid stay with him. If he's watching porn and making movies like Sean said, then make sure the kids aren't in the room. They need to be adults. They need to look out for the best interest of the kid.
Attorney Turner, how strong is this case here?
I'm distracted about all the porn, but I think Attorney Weiss makes a really good point. Fight about who spends time with the kids. Don't fight about where they sleep, right? If she's not going to be home, let him be with the dad, and she gets him when she's around.
No, Attorney Carter, isn't he fighting for that because he wants more money?
Absolutely. I'm a father. Trust me. I don't want no custody of these kids. All right. Believe me, you can have all the kids, a dog. All right. The hamster, all of that stuff. He don't want no kids. He want to be out in the street. All right. He wants, but for him to get his half money, he gonna want the kids. All right. That's why you notice that most guys aren't fighting for the kids, right? Because they got their own money. But when you want her money, you need the kids so you can federline her for the next 24.
You got 4 kids.
All right, guys. Hold on. We got to get to the verdict.
I don't know some number. Who knows?
I got 2 and I only want 1. Oh, kidding.
I got 2 minutes.
I want 5.
Guys, I got 2 minutes. I got to wrap this up. Please. All right, jury. Other people, it's time to cast your verdicts in the court of public opinion. We're doing this a little differently tonight. For each case, you must vote guilty or not guilty in the court of cultural judgment. I need 5 votes to lock in the verdict. First up is Kiefer Sutherland. Is he guilty or not guilty? Drop down in the chat. Is Kiefer guilty or not guilty of assaulting that Uber driver? Drop down in the chat. Is Kiefer guilty or not guilty for assaulting that Uber driver? Please drop down in the chat. Is Kiefer guilty or not guilty for assaulting that Uber driver? We got 1 guilty, 2 guilties. Is he guilty or not guilty? 3 guilties. Is he guilty? 4 guilties. 1 more guilty. All right, we're finding Kiefer guilty. Guilty is charged for assaulting that Uber driver. Michael Jackson estate, are they guilty or not guilty of paying or wanting to pay for their father's estate, the lawsuit? Is the estate guilty or not guilty? Please, is the estate guilty or not guilty? Jump down in the chat. Is Michael Jackson guilty or not guilty? There's 1 not guilty, 2 not guilty, 2 not guilty, 3 not guilty. Is he guilty or not guilty? Is the estate 4 not guilty? 1 more not guilty. 1 more not guilty. Is Michael Jackson guilty? Not guilty. Michael Jackson is not guilty for not paying the money. Next up is Gervonta Davis. Guilty or not guilty for beating that lady upside her head? Is Gervonta Tank? Is he guilty or not guilty for beating that lady upside his head? Not guilty. Essie Stone says not guilty. Donna says not guilty. All right. Is Tank guilty or not guilty? Tank is not guilty. 3 not guilties. Erica says guilty. Is Tank guilty or not guilty? 2 guilties. Sunfire, 2 not guilties.
No, that's
Jackson.
You're guilty of butchering his name, Al Kiefer. Okay, great.
We got another guilty.
3 guilties. All right, we got 3 guilties and 2 not guilties on Tank. Is Tank guilty or not guilty? Tank is guilty. 1 more guilty. 1 more guilty. 1 more guilty. Is Tank guilty or not guilty? Guilty. Tank is guilty as charged. All right, last but not least, Candiace Todd, guilty or not guilty for trying to take that lady money and children? Jump in the chat. Is Todd guilty or not guilty for trying to take that lady money and the children? Gene Gardner says guilty. 1. Jess B says guilty. 2.
4.
We got 2 guilties for Todd trying to take that lady money. Erica says guilty. Sunflower Brown says guilty, and Rizlan says not guilty. Leandra says not guilty. Todd is guilty. All right, Todd, you've been found guilty in the court of public opinion trying to take that lady money and steal her kids. All right, everybody, tonight we saw actors not just perform on screen, but in police reports. We watch estates fight old wounds in courts of civil law. We ventured into allegations that could end careers, and we close with a family trying to keep kids at the center of the headline soap operas. In real court, remember, evidence matters. The burden is defined, and every person is considered innocent until proven otherwise. But in the court of public opinion, perception, context, and culture get their say, and they've decided tonight who's guilty and not guilty. All right, I'm your judge, Al Reynolds. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to continue to drop your verdicts. And also tell us what case you would like for us to put on the docket next week. Thank you for joining, and court is now adjourned.